Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Welcome to Ask Rob and Rob. Questions, answers, property. Those are the keywords when it comes to this show. We do need your questions though. So Rob, how do people send them in?
You've got two options. You can call us or you can go via our lovely link. The link we'll start with because that's super easy. You go to propertyhub.net/ask. That's propertyhub.net/ask. Or if you want to leave us a voicemail, you can call in on 013 808 00035. So simple that we're several hundred into these now. So let's not slow down our progress. Let's get our first question answered.
No, Rob, stop the show. This person has made the one mistake that you should never make when calling in to Ask Rob and Rob, which they've forgotten to give their name, which means you now get the honour of naming them.
Well, thank you, Billy. Could have been a lot worse.
Hey Rob and Rob, thanks for all the amazing content. I engaged a property mentor who discussed the idea of purchase lease options, which is not something I thought about, whereby I lease a property for a period of time and then with a contract that says that I'm able to buy it at a certain rate after, say, 5 years. It's not a model I'd heard of before. I was wondering if it's something that you'd recommend. Any of the positives, any of the downsides, any advice you recommend, appreciated. Thanks so much.
So, Billy, lease options, blast from the past. These used to be sold, and what I mean by sold is the training for you to do lease options used to be sold left, right, and centre back in the day. And it was around the time when we'd come out of the last market crash, and people were nervous about the future of property and property prices. So what people would do is they'd take an option on a property, a lease option. They'd lease that property for a number of years and with the right to buy it further down the line at normally roughly the same price as it is today. And people had different versions of it, but that was the method. Now, it was a strategy that could occasionally be executed back then because there would be people nervous about the future of property prices and some may be willing to do a deal like that. But it was very, very hard to execute because let's face it, you've never heard of it before, probably only just about understand it. I've given a very, very high level viewpoint of what it is, and probably half the people listening won't understand it, and that's fine. You don't need to know the ins and outs. The point is, it's hard to understand. So going to somebody and selling this concept to them that you're going to do this with their home is ridiculously hard. Sounds great on paper. And you know what? If it was easy and there was a big database of people who wanted to do deals like this, then amazing. But there isn't. And you have to go leafleting, knocking on doors, sitting down with people, explaining the process. It's basically a full-time job just to find somebody to enter into a contract like this. Now, that hard work was when the market was dead and it wasn't really going anywhere. The market is up 10% year on year. What lunatic's going to agree to a lease option? It's just not going to happen. You could spend a year looking for somebody. And you know what? You might get lucky and find one, but you will put many, many, many hours into finding somebody to do a lease option. The reason why property mentors are selling courses and mentoring people on how to do it is because, to put it frankly, it's bloody hard. And it's much easier to make money selling the method than doing the method. That's what you always have to remember when people are selling you stuff in property. If they are selling you a method of investing that sounds really, really good on paper, why aren't they doing it? There's normally a reason. So don't be a silly Billy and start wasting your time putting loads of effort into finding a lease option. I would look at a different avenue to get started, Billy, if you can, if you've got the funds. If you have a smaller amount, you could look at something like a REIT. If you have a reasonable amount, just shy of a first deposit, and actually spend your time looking for ways to make more money on the side than knocking on people's houses and leafleting, trying to get them to agree to a lease option. That would be a far more effective use of your time. So, Billy, I know it sounds like I've been pretty harsh on you, but I'm not. I'm trying to give some tough love to you and anybody else listening that to stay well away from lease options and do not be paying anybody money to teach you how to do them, because that's where the money is made, the teaching, not the doing.
Okay, well, Rob, you may have sat on the fence with your answer, but I'm not going to do the same with mine. Let's see what we can do for James.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's James here. Firstly, I just want to say thank you so much for all of the advice that you have given in regards to investment. We have just put an offer in on our first buy-to-let property this year, so we're really excited about that and couldn't have gone ahead with it without all of the great advice from your podcast. What I did want to ask about was the property that we're buying is a top floor apartment in a kind of old Victorian block. It's energy rated a D. And I know that there's potential that the rules will be changing so that properties need to be energy rated C or above in order to be rented out, which may be coming in over the next few years. And I just wanted to know what you thought about buying a property that is not currently rated a C. Should we pay someone to investigate the property or have it re-rated or get quotes for how much it would cost to get this certified energy rated C? Or would you maybe even not consider buying properties that are not rated or are related below a C? It'd be really great to hear what you think. Thank you very much. Bye.
James, really good question. One that lots of people are asking at the moment. And in fact, so many people are asking, let's go nuts, break the core rule of Ask Rob and Rob and fit in a third question. This is Melissa.
Good morning, Rob and Rob. My name's Melissa, and myself and my brother, we run a portfolio of student lets in Gloucester. Some of these are listed, actually more than half. And with the news that we've been reading lately about the changes to EPCs coming in for landlords 2025, I'm just worried about the implications for our properties that are listed. At the moment, they're currently exempt. Do you know if this will change? Will you be doing an episode on what landlords need to do to get up to the EPC rating of C by 2025? Any advice would be gratefully received. Love the content. Please keep it up.
Okay, so these EPC changes are a hot topic. And as a result, we put out a YouTube video on this exact topic. So we'll make sure that's linked to in the show notes, but you could also go to youtube.com/propertyhubuk. You should make sure you subscribe to the channel anyway, because we're doing loads of good stuff on there now. But we've recently covered this very EPC issue because it is on so many people's minds. So I'll refer you to that video for the full answer. But I'll give you the absolute bottom line now. James, you've raised what I consider to be a really core point of this whole thing, which is that if you've got a flat in an old block and you want to increase the energy rating, you may be able to do it, but chances are lots of the recommendations are going to be out of your control. It would need to be done at the block level, which is not something that you can have a lot of control over. I don't know how this proposed legislation, and it is only proposed at the moment, it's important to note, I don't know how that would deal with this kind of situation, but I do know that it would be ludicrous to have a situation where something like 500,000 or 1 million flats suddenly become unrentable and those people get kicked out because of this issue. So I do know it'll get resolved one way or the other. What I'd say about that particular purchase is there are a couple of things you can do. One is look at the EPC itself, because it'll have some recommendations on there to tell you how to get it up a band. It might be something like changing the entire heating system or increasing the insulation in the roof, which you just can't do in a block of flats. But it might be there's something far more simple that you can do and just do it yourself in the flat. So look at that. The other thing is, if you want to take the real kind of worst case scenario on it, like I said, this is just a proposal, but the belief is, because this has been written in another document recently, that there's going to be a cap of £10,000 that you're expected to spend. And if you can't get the rating up to a C having spent £10,000, then that's okay. You'll still be able to rent the property out. So the real worst case is you just budget an extra £10,000 on top of whatever you're paying for the property. And if you're still happy with the property at that price, then you're okay. Like I say, I consider that to be very much a worst case. I don't think it would actually happen in your situation, but that is one way of getting confidence if you need to. Melissa, in terms of your question, this is a much simpler one. Again, this is only draft legislation at the moment, so we don't know for sure. But the current requirement to have at least a grade E does have an exemption for listed buildings, and I think it's extremely likely that it's going to be the same again when the new rules come in. So I wouldn't be too worried in your case. But do keep an eye on this area if you've got properties that may be affected. We will, of course, be updating you on this podcast and over on the YouTube channel. So there you go. 3 questions answered. Madness. We'll be back to do it all again next week, so do make sure you join us. But before then, we'll see you on Thursday for the Property Podcast. Have a great week till then. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.